Howard Clegger is one of Philadelphia's most passionate and talented unknown outsider artists. His movies, sculptures, inventions, and complicated diagrams crisscross between impractical fodder and pure genius. Howard has merged together a true sense of art with his personal life, which is producing a constant state of madness that can intrigue, annoy, or repel the various people Howard is in contact with. Howard is one with art. He is constantly producing his art 24 hours a day, and because he is always producing, he is forever trying to record his works, which is what leads us to his authorized documentary. Most of the footage in this documentary is recorded by Howard on location, usually during one of his crazy adventures. The compilation of footage easily spans a decade and is authentic and honest in its depiction of Howard and his pursuits.
What would happen if I did bring my dog with me to vacation in the Bermuda Triangle area this summer? Maybe for a couple of months. We have a cottage down there next to Florida. Right off the tip of Florida? Yes, I would recommend just avoiding the area, maybe sublet it to someone.
You as an artist, what is it you're looking to do? Like, what would be the ultimate goal for you as an artist?
The ultimate goal? I used to want to change the entire world into whatever I thought at the moment was my own, like my world was better. I had a whole bunch of ideas, and so I wanted to try to get out as many strange Howard products as possible. So I'm still doing that. And because of my creativity and all of the stuff I've already created, it's really difficult for me to take seriously some of the inquiries and some of the breakdowns of my own items. And also just philosophy on life. So a lot of those are easily become dislocated in the movement of all of the creations, and just my interest in ideas, and also perseverance in a lot of stuff that I could easily just pass off, because the idea of like coming up with the film, it requires a method that's beyond myself.
Howard was born the second child of a loving Jewish family in the early 70s, and his formative years were more or less similar to that of a normal childhood. He came from a nuclear family and never had any notable problems with his upbringing. Howard did, however, exhibit the characteristics of a quiet, introverted artist who was sensitive to his creations and/or self-image. This characteristic would become more important in his formative years at a state college in Berks County, Pennsylvania. It was during these years Howard began to experiment with hallucinogenic drugs and was derailed from his course as a traditional artist. His early works as an artist were primarily sketches, which were abstract but would still reflect a traditional image. His later works would all but surpass his early creations in terms of his overall direction as an artist. Howard soon became local folklore that was made famous through various stories around campus. Did you hear how Howard graduated? No. His final project for his art degree was throwing ceramic plates against a wall. Really? There were many other stories and mild incidents, like when he put a package of cookies in the toaster oven still inside the paper wrapper. You can only imagine the results.
There was another interesting time. That's the ugly T-Bug. There was another time. It was at the Last Drop? That coffee shop on Main Street there. Remember the performance you did, where it involved everybody in the place, and it was actually
The flashlight performance?
No, it wasn't the flashlight performance. It was the performance that I took part in. It was the only performance I took part in. No, it was in Kutztown.
There wasn't a Last Drop in Kutztown, was there?
What was the coffee shop there? I don't remember the name of it.
The Uptown Espresso Bar?
Uptown, yeah.
Okay.
It was in the Uptown, and it was you were really amped for this thing, and it was the period where you were hanging around the studio all the time, and you just started becoming like vaguely annoying because but you were really dedicated in this poetry project you were doing, where it involved a lot of layering, and for whatever reason nobody was really taking you serious, which is often the case.
Did I notice that?
I don't think you really cared because you were too focused on, you believed in the project. And come after the project, I think we all understood your dedication to it. Because what I'm talking about, I think you'll remember, is one night, whatever it was an open mic night. And they always had guitar, like any open mic night. James Jewell and them would get up with their guitar and play their guitar.
Yeah.
All these guitar players and singer-songwriter type of thing. And then you got up there.
Phoebe didn't like the
No, she liked this one. I don't think she saw this one, but
she didn't like the wording I used for any of
who
it.
cares? But the fact of the matter is you got up there and then you orchestrated this page. You had a series of photocopies, and you handed them out to about 6 of us, and we were all placed in different areas in the Uptown bar.
Make sure it's still recording.
I think it is. The lights on. But at this. Do you remember this? Do you know what I'm talking about? And then I was it was the only time I performed a part, and we were cued so that we spoke at different intervals, and it was all everything you wrote, and you kind of orchestrated the thing, and you were the guy up.
Yeah, it was supposed to be an inversion and in a cross section on reality.
You got the closest thing you could probably get in Kutztown to a standing ovation after that, because it just worked. It worked really well, because I think the people who were into it, the 6 people that you chose, were probably the only people who paid you any mind at that moment, in time, and it fucking worked really well, and it was really kind of interesting because you orchestrating up there, you were dead fucking serious, and you kind of brought us into the serious factor of it, and I was actually nervous at the moment up to my reading, and then I got my reading, and I'm like, I wish I kind of had it now, but, I read my part, and then seamlessly somebody would read over here, and then you would constantly be reading over us all. So
it was creating like a.
It was kind of like your tapes, but it was a live performance.
Right, that was electronicizing people.
It required like at least 6 people, 5 or 6 people.
It was electronicizing people to imitate mechanics.
Wouldn't it be like a 4-track? Yeah, but it was a live kind of 8-track recording.
It was a live 4-track. Is it 4-track? Is it Basically,
and what you basically did was sync up everybody in the coffee shop.
Yeah, as a 4-track or 8-track.
Who were part of it, and it worked.
Fast Forward the Caterpillar movie and Cubicle Sphere. During these early college years, Howard made friends within the artistic community at college and began work on his first movie, Fast Forward the Caterpillar movie. The concept on this movie is pure genius, but is not obvious due to Howard's abstract perspective. This movie is basically explaining how time travel is possible on a recorded medium, and that by fast-forwarding or rewinding the tape, you are experiencing time travel in the movie in real time. Howard also is touching on the idea of cubicle sphere, in which by spinning a cup, it produces a perfect sphere, an idea he worked on with a sculpture friend Mike Murray.
Well, Fast Forward the Caterpillar movie was done when I was going out with Robin after college, living in a farmhouse. I think I got all the footage from there and bits and pieces from the past. So it was itself, Fast Forward the Caterpillar movie might be something where I directly put together a movie. A small movie. It was like a collage, and it was fast forward and rewind. What can I say about some of the parts? Some of it already fast forward and rewinded for you, or that you could fast forward and rewind it also. and it's like me as a puppet. So you activate it analog style. Was like my approach for analog video. It was like a part of the early idea of novice DJ mixer.
Yeah, the Couple Sphere began in Warminster after I started it at the end of college.
Do you remember the physical manifestation of the Couple Sphere?
It was in college. It was still in college.
Yeah, but we were doing it in my kitchen floor.
It was
on
still.
Nova
I
Street.
was still in college, but then I visited after college from Warminster, and that's when the Couple Sphere Matt became real. I was visiting.
Well,
I was visiting Phoebe's
We could
class, and I
actually
wasn't
do
in
it.
school.
We could reenact it right now.
Yeah, it's better.
Because, do you remember at the time, and I remember this point because I think it was a crucial point in probably both our histories. Yes, turn it down a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. Don't, dude, that's a sign. Things are in line. I remember spinning a cup, just like that. And what it did was
Just a
it
second.
created the sphere.
Spin that again.
This is the cup, and then this is the transition into Couple Sphere. And at that moment, I don't know if you remember this, but we were talking about it, and we were both floored at the fact that we were, because you've been spending 2 years with this notion that I really didn't understand. I mean, you might have understood it better than I did, but I used to novel you with listening to it, but I remember that night, and it was like, it all became real to me at that point. I'm like, the Couple
Well, that was
Sphere.
your own version of the
Well,
Couple
for
Sphere.
me,
That was
I
a
mean-
modified version in an actual solid cup.
Well, I'm saying, this is obviously an interview about you, and I'm telling you the moment in which you became real to me. And that was probably it. That night in
That
my
fused the
kitchen,
entire idea of the mental break, the mental
Well, I
area.
was like, maybe this guy's not totally full of shit. Because, I mean, you were talking about a Couple Sphere, and then I could see with my own eyes a Couple Sphere, so I couldn't deny the fact that there was a Couple Sphere in existence. But you can't deny that that doesn't create a sphere when you do that.
Yeah.
Now, that energy exerted, I don't know what you call that, but it's a whole other story, though.
This is going to be creating an invisible, partially invisible couple sphere, which will command with these little doodads over here. So focus back on the couple sphere.
Missing Donut. Howard and Mike Murray would play numerous pranks on donut shops by asking for various items the stores did not sell. These early years were probably based on Howard's obsession with donuts and coffee and 24-hour donut shops.
I'll have one imaginary donut and put it off in split and toasted with cream cheese. What? What? What?
Imaginary donut.
One imaginary donut. If that.
Imaginary means there is nothing.
Yeah, just nothing. Just one nothing donut. Just
Yeah,
but I want the imaginary donut to be a coffee roll. Yeah, the one. I don't want the coffee roll. I just want the imaginary coffee roll. For the imaginary coffee roll.
cream and sugar. You can leave now.
That's late.
Phoneland. Howard was living in Philadelphia and was working with his housemate Seth on a project called Phoneland, in which Howard was trying to describe a world of audio presented as a television show. There was an actual audience, and Howard was the host who was demonstrating various inventions or art sculptures or ideas. The most notable part of Phoneland was Howard's depiction of an electronics repairman, where he is destroying what he is trying to fix, and although he is a parody of himself, he would spend a lot of his own time trying to repair broken electronics with inevitable failure. It was as if he was a mad scientist experimenting with electronic items unsuccessfully.
The idea of this thing that I only know when I'm doing it is the idea of phones, of a gigantic, the idea of the show is be surrounded in the phone world. Like I call up, let's say, you can come up with this later. The idea of, so I would call, like, I don't even know how it's going to work, but the basic idea is that what I can actually say right now about it, because I've tried, is that the phone, there's this thing I came up with when I was in Phoebe's class in art school about 5 years ago. And I never let it out of my mind because I basically haven't had any new ideas since art school that I've worked on. If I'm not working on the project, hell, I don't have to explain it to you. So, what the hell is it? This is the Fix-It shop. I'm going to attempt to fix this Panasonic VHS OmniVision for probably to sell at the place across the street from where we live. A lot of people were asking for VCRs. I'm going to attempt to make them workable. I'm not going to sell them as is there because, one of the main things I want to do is try to make a few bucks here and there on sunny days during the week. You know, hold a couple items in there like VCRs, TVs, maybe record players, and we're going to attempt to fix them. So at the as is place. So I'm going to attempt to fix this. I will fix this, and I always do fix my items. So here we go. First I'm going to unscrew this. I'm going to screw this out. I had a bad elbow from this morning, so I'm going to try to open this up. Sometimes you just have to replace the back covers on it. You know, the bastards that make these don't allow you to go in here. They usually say just throw these things out. That's why they make them so tight. Back in the 80s, they made them so that they had a lot of damaged parts, and ever since the 80s and before then and after then, you know, it's always been the rule, always leave mismatched homogeneous pieces around for people to clusterfuck their head with. So that's what keeps things running around here. So